Blank edition. We're starting with the winner of the draft. Cooper Flagg obviously went first, but who else won the night? Or fill in the blank. The winner of the night was blank.
All right, good news.
Okay.
Dust. Because Dust, our producer, was like, guys, we went a little short last segment. We have extra time here. I can do 20 minutes on this first thing, so you're just going to have to stop me when you want.
Excellent.
But the biggest winner of night one is the Atlanta Hawks. Because the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm sorry, this is one of those awkward things where I'm going to talk about a guy that I don't know this for sure, but I'm almost certain Brew probably has a great relationship with.
Uh-oh.
The Atlanta Hawks were able to do business with Joe Dumars. And in NBA history, that has been pretty good business to be on the other side of that phone call. And when you are running the New Orleans Pelicans.
He did build one of the most elite championship teams. I'm just saying.
This was not great.
It was back in 04. No, this was bad. This was bad.
When you are the New Orleans Pelicans and your starting point guard has blown his Achilles, sadly, in DeJounte Murray, and your star player, Zion Williamson, is maybe one of the biggest injury risks in the league, and you've just traded for Jordan Poole, and you're in the Western Conference, and you just won 21 games. The best thing you have going for you is at least you own your own draft pick next year, and it's better than it being just your own draft pick. You own your pick, but if for some reason Milwaukee trades Giannis, or Giannis, God forbid, suffers an injury himself, Milwaukee instantly becomes the worst team in the league. If Giannis misses real time, you can swap that for their pick. Almost a better chance than maybe any other asset in the entire league to land you A.J. DeBansa, next year's #1, or just a top 5 pick in next year's draft.
But New Orleans itself might not be very good. They're going to have a
No,
hard
that's
time
what I'm
getting
saying.
that
Like,
right. They're going to be in the lottery.
It's that, but even if you're good, if Milwaukee's not, you could still have an amazing pick. To give that away, unprotected, to move up from 23 to 13 is one of the most baffling, seismic decisions I can remember on draft day since the Atlanta Hawks were on the other side of one of these, trading away Luka Doncic for Trae Young. If I were ranking most valuable future assets in the league right now, I suppose Utah's #1 next year is the most valuable, but this Pelicans-Bucks best of the two combo platter is on the very short list. And to trade that away to Atlanta, and Atlanta just moves back 10 spots, and Atlanta still got Newell. They, I think, had a good offseason already by getting off some money and adding Kristaps. I obviously like Dyson. I obviously like Jalen Johnson. They had the #1 pick last year that nobody talked about, Risa Shea. Like, they might actually be able to be fun in the East this year and then be sitting on a gold mine of a pick for next year. And even if you're New Orleans, just real quick, and then go, Brew, or respond, whatever. Even if you're like, no, we love Derek Queen. We think Queen and Zion will work together, which is weird, but I like Queen too. We're going to be good. But Milwaukee might not. Milwaukee might trade Giannis, or Giannis might, God forbid, get hurt, and then you could be good and you still give away a top 5 pick. I can't believe they did it. And the Hawks being on the other side of it is all time.
It was a bad trade. I mean, like you said, the fact that that's unprotected is just, it could really come back to bite him. And Derek Queen, who I like a lot, but he's not a shooter. He's not, I don't know that he's really 6'10".
I don't know how you can play him and Zion at the same
right.
time.
And even when DeJounte's back, that's 3 of maybe your 3 top players can't shoot. You know, number of real shooters, and you got Poole who can shoot, but so it's interesting what they're doing.
Yeah. They trade for Poole, and then they get a player at 7 who profiles like Poole and fears. You trade for Zion. You trade up to get Derek Queen when and I like Queen a lot, but he's a high ceiling, low floor guy because people have questions about is he in shape, work ethic. It's a little scary. But I don't see how you can play him and Zion together. And the last point I'll make is this. If you love Derek Queen that much to give up that pick, then how do you not just take him at 7? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think Fears is a better prospect. Right.
It almost feels like an oversight, which is not good.
What it
even
feels
if
to
that's
me
what it
like
was.
is the ticking clock. Like, this trade doesn't get done with those protections if it's not, oh, there's 3 minutes left to get this done. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's more eyes on it or whatever it is. And last point, a guy who was in the New Orleans front office just went over to Atlanta. And I forget the guy's name. I apologize. He's like the second in command.
Oh, that's Bryson.
Okay. There. And
Bryson Graham.
so I think that's right. So I wonder if he had intel, guys. They love Queen. Like, we could, you know what I mean? Like, he's available. We're on the clock.
But remember, Dumars is just coming in.
No, but there was some overlap when Dumars was there and this guy was still there. So
anyway, I'm not going to overthink it. The Mavericks. All right? And here's why. It's not just that they got potentially generated. Let's not overthink it. The Mavericks. All right? 2 months ago, they were in the worst shape of any team in the league. And I get it again. Nick's going to get mad. It was luck. But so what? The Mavericks now not only got what we think will be a great player, but they have won back their fan base.
Smart.
They have won back their fan base. Now the stench of the Luka trade, at least for the time being, is off. And so that trumps everything.
I'm going with Malawach from Duke going to Phoenix. Phoenix is kind of lost in the sauce. They don't,
You like what they're doing?
They were 27th best defense last year. You know that defense wins championships. Copyright. But this is a strong move. He's got a great story, great guy. Won at Duke, obviously. Can get better. They also got Mark Williams, so this is more of like a Suns thing, which when Mark Williams was going to the Lakers, I guess he was going to be Wilt Chamberlain. Now he's at the Suns, no one's talking about him. But I kind of like what the Suns are doing. But Mark Williams was
if
A1
the dude can
story.
ever stay healthy, I mean, he's a good player.
Well,
if he's
but
ever
what?
healthy.
So here's the other. Can I add to that?
Yeah, go.
If I'm Charlotte, I'm quite annoyed with the Lakers. Because the Lakers traded for Mark Williams, Dalton Knecht, who was a top 20 pick, a swap in 31, and 2031 unprotected. That was the trade. They then back out of it, and the trade becomes the 29th pick and then a 2029 pick. So they got, you know what I mean? Like, it's significantly less than they thought they were getting from the Lakers. I agree with you in this regard, Wilds. The Suns still oddly, they went into the draft with nothing but shooting guards. Now they have shooting guards and centers. They still don't have forwards or point guards, but
it's something.
You now have.
They're building.
Now you're going to have 48 minutes of center.
Complimentary basketball.
Right. You're going to have Mark Williams, because Malawach, I think we agree, is a bit of a project, but he'll play some. Mark Williams will play. They got that position taken care of.
I also like the Devin.
So I give him credit for that.
Like, maybe letting go of DeAndre Ayton wasn't the best thing when I saw him in the finals, and now we're just lost. Okay, shooting guards, tall people.
With that said, the team that has DeAndre Ayton drafted a center in the top 10 last year and then drafted a center at the 16th pick this year, so they might not love DeAndre Ayton so much themselves.
Fair. Second pick of the draft, Dylan Harper to the Spurs was not a surprise, but which pick did surprise you?
Well,
or theme?
Yeah, biggest surprise to me that there were no huge trades. And I understand I just talked about what I thought was a terrible trade, but I thought that there was going to be potentially big team/player movement centered around the draft. I thought it was on the board. Jaylen Brown got moved. I thought it was.
Did you?
On the board. I didn't think it was likely, but I thought it was on the board. I thought it was very on the board that Philadelphia used the third pick as a carrot to get someone to potentially bite on Paul George. I certainly thought it was on the board that Brooklyn packaged 3 of those first-round picks to move up for Ace. Mm-hmm. I thought it was on the board that the Lakers traded Austin Reeves for the ninth pick to take Malawach.
That would have been great.
And so I would have liked it. But I just thought we were going to see more significant trades where contenders try to leverage the draft And that just didn't happen. And so that was, I'm not saying it's bad.
Right.
It just surprised me that that's not how it played out.
Well, remember, if the Durant trade had not happened already, it may have happened with the draft.
Yeah.
The Boston trades, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
some of it was already happening. I was surprised, and he's been a staple in today's show, Ace Bailey, that Utah took him.
Right down the middle.
Because he just didn't, he wasn't looking to go there,
Yeah.
obviously. And like Nick said, it just, I give Austin Ainge credit, though. He doesn't want to come here. We love him as a player, though, and they have talked to him, at the workouts and stuff. Not his workout, but, pre-draft camp and stuff. And I think it's a good opportunity for him. And we've seen it before where a guy didn't want to go somewhere, but it worked out. And so I think
Is there a good, not to put you on the spot, but is there a good example of that?
Of where it did work out or didn't?
Where it like works out swimming, like, you know what, I didn't want to go here, but it turns out I love it.
So the example I'm thinking of is the opposite. Steve Francis sobbing about Vancouver taking him and never playing for them.
And he's not. I'll give him credit because he did not seem bothered by going to Utah. Like, those are the reports. But he handled himself well.
No,
like,
he didn't
seem thrilled.
I thought thrilled is one thing, but I thought he seemed happy to be drafted.
Yeah, the only table that seemed really upset was, and gosh, remind me the kid's name. The kid that went to Toronto.
Yeah.
But afterwards, he said he had a great press conference.
Yeah, so it was just like in the moment, and it seemed like his girlfriend was super upset, and then he was bummed.
Yeah, Murray Boyles.
Yes, that's right. The kid from South Carolina. Yeah. And again, that's probably unfair. It might just be like in the moment snap reaction, like, oh man, I've never been there, and then it settles in, you realize, and so I don't know.
My surprise, I like Walter Clayton Jr. to the Jazz a lot. Okay. I love Walter Clayton Jr. You know why? I like winning games.
Yeah, I knew this was
coming. Not a huge, I like potential, but on my huge list of things, like, this guy isn't very good and doesn't win a lot of games, but we love him. We project him to be amazing. I've heard that a lot in the NBA draft. It doesn't always work. You know what I like? Guys hitting big shots and leaving with championships. So Walter Clayton Jr., if I was on the Wizards, I would have taken him, but I know the Wizards aren't interested in winning. All of a sudden,
him and Ace will be a nice little combo.
All of a sudden, the Jazz,
him going 18th was a great rise over the course of the year for him.
I guess so, because I think he was projected not even in the first round.
Going into the year, he was not a first-round pick.
Right.
He can play. I watch the games.
Well, again,
winning basketball.
Seeing guys. I always like guys that stay 3 or 4 years, particularly as role players.
Yes.
But again, and I'm not saying he's going to be Jalen Brunson, but similar situation in that Brunson won two, I believe, championships at Villanova, but nobody thought he's going to do anything at this level.
Yeah, too little.
And you see he works hard,
yes.
and this kid has the character.
Clutch.
I'll use a different comp for him that I think's more realistic as far as his NBA, because Jalen Brunson's a superstar. Fred VanVleet, who didn't win championships, but basically essentially took Wichita State as far as is realistic to take them. And you know what I mean? Stayed in college, played well, questions about his size, but no questions about his toughness, work ethic, clutch, and has had an awesome career and is a champion in the pros.
Sleeper of the draft time. A lot of people like Cedric Howard, who ends up in Memphis after starting his college career, paying tuition at D3 Willamette University in Oregon.
They got some good ballers in D3.
Yeah, but because Brew was one of them. Brew, he went D3 for a year, then was Eastern